Hello everybody. This video is going to be a lot different than probably, well, yeah, than any other videos I've done. Because I just need a rant about this. I know I'm playing Soma, and I will still. I'm doing that tomorrow. Playing through all that this week. I was playing it today, and I just cannot today because of generation loss, which I'm sure you can tell by the title before I clicked on it. I have gotten for like maybe 4 hours of sleep last night because of this show. And I just need to rant about it to the internet, even if no one sees this. I don't care. I need to rant, and none of my friends have seen it yet. I'm going to absolutely be telling them about it and stuff. But I just need to rant about this. So yeah, this video is going to be so unorganized. I have no notes. I'm planning on probably at some point. I know it's gonna be like the founders cut stuff. I'm going to be so over the place in this video. But I think eventually I do want to move the mic back a little bit. I do want to eventually make like I'll probably make a more organized video to talk about generation loss and why I think it's just so unbelievably amazing and something different that I've been looking for such a long time now. So I know this will be on a like mess. I'm sure at some point I will do a more organized version when I get my thoughts a little bit more together. But I just need to get it together. And I'll probably do like watch the founders cut all behind the scenes stuff to get a little bit more stuff to actually do a more organized video. But this though, I'm literally just gonna be ranting about it, just talking about it, and just throwing my thoughts out there because I need to scream into the void that is the internet. Otherwise, I'm actually gonna lose my mind. So this thing's gonna have major spoilers for Generation Loss, which is a show that was created by Ramble, the streamer. You can find I didn't actually watch it live, sadly. I just didn't have time, and also I wasn't really sure how it'd be in the beginning, so I wasn't too worried about it. Kind of now wish I would watch it live, but it's still equally amazing. So definitely go watch it. I'll probably link to their VOD channel in the description for the first episode, and also to the Twitch. Either way, you can watch the VODs there. So yeah, don't watch this video, and don't watch the rest of this video until you go watch that. It'd probably take like a little over 4-ish hours or something to watch. So you've got the time. Make it. Don't watch this video before you see it. It's like he did this live. It's a live stream show that they put on, and it has like some audience interaction stuff. So it's like if you see like people like percentages or whatever for different decisions or whatever for things to be made, like where to look in a room or whatever. That's the live audience at the time that was like making the different decisions and stuff. So like they still feel that interactability even just watching it as a VOD. So yeah, go watch it as a horror thing, not like it's which is why I'm going to be talking about it and why it's so much more deeper because it hit me on a level that like Soma has hit me, which is why I want to play through Soma and talk about Soma. And this, I have not been hit like this deep by, especially something in horror, is since Soma. And Soma is kind of a similar way where it's like the monsters and the scares and stuff, which Generation Lost doesn't really have very like scares or whatever per se. But the true horror is so much deeper than just that. It is the story and the execution of how everything's done and the presentation, like just everything. Where the true horror comes from. It's so much deeper than just, ooh, that's scary. Wow, that made me jump. Like, it's so much deeper, like, dread level. It's super good. I don't really want to get spoilers, but yeah, go watch. I was just giving a warning that it is like a horror thing, so there's some slight gore if you don't like this stuff, but it's nothing too extreme. Um, it's also super funny, because most of it's also, like, just comedy improv stuff. It is also super funny. It's amazing. Yeah, go watch it before you watch the rest of this video, because I'm going to be doing major spoilers. I'm literally talking about just whatever the fuck comes to my mind about it. So yeah, please, I definitely don't. I mean, sometimes I do say like, oh yeah, you should go play this or whatever. I'm going to be doing spoilers for this, but for this though, I actually mean it. I have not had something hit me this hard for such a long time, and I genuinely mean it this time. Do not watch the rest of this. Don't ruin it for yourself. Go actually watch it, and then you can come back to this video. So I'll give everyone a second there to leave and go watch Generation Loss. go watch it. Okay, so now I'm going to assume that everyone that's still here has already watched it, or has just finished watching it. How do you feel, by the way? Yeah, hopefully no one is still watching if they haven't watched it yet. But assuming the rest of you have seen it now, yeah, I don't know where to begin. Like I said, I had so much anxiety last night from the show because the final scene of the third episode, it's just stuck in my mind. I have never had something, I don't think I ever have. Like had like one particular scene ever stick in my mind so hard. Just the acting, the presentation, the immediate death, the buildup and the suspense of everyone voting. It is disturbed me on a level that I have never before. And which is why I think the show is so amazing because it goes so much deeper than just like, oh, it's or something gory that's disturbing. Like I've seen stuff like that in games or movies or whatever. That's like gore stuff and torture stuff bothers me, but it's just a temporary bother. And it's just what most people are bothered by because like, oh, that's gross or whatever. But like this is on so much more of like a dread level. And I'll be discussing a lot with this with Soma as well, because it's gonna make me feel some of the same way. And especially with my different decisions, because I did not vote live, but I do agree with the votes that die was the correct option. Um and some of that kind of piece I'll probably talk about it when I play through Soma as well. There's kind of not exactly similar situations at all, but just the like feeling of existential like dread and moral decisions that like stick with you that like you never really know if you did the right or wrong thing because there is no right or wrong in these like such extreme cases. And yeah, I just cannot get that ending out of my head. It's so good. Like the Rainbow's acting, their acting is so good. It sounds so genuine and real. Um, And the small details too from the stream, which I know like, they were saying in because I watched the stream that they did afterwards, and the small detail that the flashing mask is putting their memories back in their mind. In case anyone didn't watch that stream, when they're strapped to like the machine, whatever at the very end, the mask is flashing, and some people thought like that's oh the people are controlling them, but Rainbow actually said in the stream afterwards. That's actually them putting the memories back in his head of like their past life and like everything. So when they're screaming out like, "Oh, I remember everything," they actually remember everything, every horrible thing that happened, everything before the life, and like that's such a tragic detail. And they said that they're gonna make the ending even sadder. I don't know how in the founders cut. I don't know if I'm prepared for that, but I think part of why this must that especially the final scene, even when I was like trying to like fall asleep last night, so it took me forever. Like 2 or 3 hours to fall asleep because I just kept seeing and hearing that scene in my head. I think it's because like it's the one time in anything that like it actually like because that's exactly what their whole goal was. Like they talked about it, like in the after stream that like they wanted to see if they could get a whole audience, a whole bunch of people to execute someone and feel like they actually killed someone. And I think they absolutely nailed it. I feel like I actually feel like I watched someone die. And I think that's why it's sticking in my head so much. There's so many sad death scenes and things and stuff. But I think it's just that like extra like why I guess it goes throughout the whole show of why I think like it works so well with the just various disturbing moments, especially in episode 2 as well. When I finished episode 2, I felt like just disturbed afterwards, especially specifically like with Charlie screaming when he's getting cut open. That is so well done. And Nikki's crying. That's amazingly well done. Especially the fact that the camera never even focuses on her when she's crying. Like with Charlie, like the camera just like the glitchy thing, and same with Sneak and stuff. The camera just like the glitchy thing where people break out of character. But Nikki though, it doesn't do that. She is literally on the farthest side of the carousel, whatever the frick it's called. Not only the farthest side, the camera never shows her face or really looks at her much. She's always in the background when she's crying, which I thought was a brilliant choice. Apparently that was like Nikki's choice to do the crying stuff, but like filming angles and stuff are brilliant there. That it doesn't even focus on her, but you just hear this unsettling, very genuine crying, which is different from everyone else. And then she switches character when she's in the camera, and it switches out. Like that is brilliant. And why I think like those moments and the ending moment stuff work so well. And I went into like watching this. I occasionally watch Rambo stuff, and I have a little bit more recently stuff, because they're very entertaining. Especially like on Sorry, the improv trope that they're a part of with Charlie and Tommy and Bilzo. Oh, and Wilbur too. Yeah. On there, like just a very funny guy. Um. So, but I saw the Generation Lost stuff, and I was like, this seems interesting. At first, I thought it'd just be like regular analog horror stuff from what I saw from like the little trails on the Generation Lost channel. Um, I was like, oh, this just I knew it'd be good. I knew it'd be entertaining because I had all these streamers and stuff. I knew it'd be entertaining because it was Rambo and Charlie and stuff. So I was like, yeah, this is gonna be entertaining no matter what. But I wasn't really expecting like actually analog horror stuff because I've seen so much of this. There's been such an overblown of analog horror, and that could be a whole nother rant about analog horror itself and how it's so overdone, usually so predictable now. It just seemed like, at least from the trailers, it just really felt like that. The static and weird, secret, cryptic messages and stuff. It just kind of felt like it was going that direction. So I didn't go into it with like necessarily low expectations, but I was like, this sounds like that would be cool. And first episode, I was like, this is pretty cool. It was really funny. I mean, of course, I knew it'd be funny, because they're all very funny people. But so the first episode was very funny and didn't really any horror stuff. But the second episode, though, that's where it started to disturb me. And then the third episode, obviously, it's messed me up now. And I think why that works so well is because it's there's two layers to it. I think from my understanding stuff of like doing. I love horror genre stuff, but I love horror that really impacts you in different ways other than just being scary, like Soma. Like more of an existential dread type horror. That's also why I love the idea of cosmic horror and stuff like that. Um, and I think there's two layers of why it works so well in the show. One, that it was live and it was interactable. That is like huge. That's why I personally always find video games such more engaging and impactful and meaningful stories to me personally. Is that like I engage with it. I am the one controlling the character. I do these different things. So whenever anything happens in the game, I actually feel it more. You know, all different forms of media. It's each person's taste, and I've loved certain movies as well and stuff like that. It's not like I've been not impacted by other things, but I've always been hit by the hardest by video games and stuff, and always enjoyed analyzing the stories the most. That's why I also love doing the organized ramblings and stuff because I love analyzing stuff like this. And so having all this different like, you know, obviously I don't have like insane experience with stuff. I'm no writer or game developer or anything, but I think those two layers what helped it work so well than anything else that I've seen like related of the whole like, oh, looks happy and fun on the outside, evil underneath. That's a very cliche trope that a lot of things use, and I feel like usually doesn't get very well executed. Um, but this I think works so well because yeah, one, it was live. The interactability that breaks that wall of it not just being a show you're watching, but you're actually interacting, especially in the final scene, obviously, because you are literally deciding if someone dies or continues to suffer. So I think the interactability that just breaks down a whole wall of safety that you can put up like on a movie. That's why movies I've never been interested. Like I want to watch some like newer horror movies, see if like one can scare me or hit me in some way. But so far, none of them I've seen have really on some like deeper level other than some like cool adrenaline suspense. But because you just sit back and passively interact with it. With a video game, though, you're actually like you're controlling the character and you're actually there. You have to make the decision. You have to walk into the room, you know. That's why I always think they're scary, but I think it works so much better on a story level as well. And so that breaks that wall of safety that you can't just passively watch the show. You have to interact with it. And even watching it as a VOD, you still feel that interactability and that energy. And the second wall breaker is the comedy. It's actually a funny show. The comedic parts are hilarious. I was laughing a lot at them and stuff. They're actually funny, unsurprisingly. They're all funny streamers. And so because it's actually funny and the rest of it actually feels safe, it feels like, especially in the first episode, if you cut out the parts with the with Hedge talking on the TV or any like character breaks or anything like that, if you cut all that out, it is literally just it's literally just an comedy improv show. There's literally nothing more that really is beyond that other than a comedy improv, and that like breaks down that wall so much is because comedy is always a breaker. Like if you're like you're stressed out or something, like so many people like start making jokes or trying to laugh. It's such an easy way to de-stress and relax. I do it all the time. Um, you'll know when I'm stressing out when I start making a bunch of jokes, start talking a bunch. And I think because so many of the things I feel like that try to seem happy and good on the outside, this might be kind of hard to explain, but I feel like a lot of things that like try to seem like innocent or happy on the outside, but then evil within, um, actually are usually generally kind of still creepy on that outside level. There's usually something unsettling, or especially the classic thing of like when the character's just staring into the camera, or gives a weird stare, it's just twitching weirdly or whatever, those kind of classic spooky things. I feel like so many of them don't actually make you feel safe, and especially in a lot of the shorter analog horror stuff on YouTube and stuff. I know it's going to be dangerous and stuff, so I don't really feel safe watching it. Like one that I feel like did a very good job, but then eventually felt just kind of repetitive for me was Gemini Home Entertainment. Especially, I don't know if this is their first one, but I think it's one of the most popular ones or whatever. The one with like I can't remember what it's called, but the one with like the house and the people are standing still in the house and stuff in the woods. That one was well done, but like the whole thing feels eerie. It's got this weird static, it's this weird kind of voice, kind of oddly quiet stuff. So throughout a lot of those, they're like eerie or something's still wrong, something still feels off throughout the whole thing. But this show, though, I think it does it so well because it's genuinely funny, genuinely entertaining to watch, and it's completely normal on the normal parts. So when those parts, like especially the first one that really hit me was Charlie screaming in episode 2 when he's gonna get cut open, is because before that he's acting as this chill dude, like, oh, my slime guts, bro, why you doing that? That's the toy car I swallowed, like all this innocent, silly stuff, and it's funny. But then when he starts, his screaming is good. They all did amazing acting. Charlie did a very good job. It sounds so genuine that it was so bone chilling, and it is such an, it's like it just creates such a larger divide from the comedy and the normal to the disturbing. And I think a lot of horror fails to create that large of a divide between those two, if that makes sense. And also breaks down your barrier of safety too. Because like, if you're watching something that's a horror thing, you're like expecting horror, you're building up suspense, or whatever, within yourself. And you're like expecting like, oh, what's going to happen? When it's going to happen, that kind of suspense that builds, which suspense is good. Don't get me wrong. Many horror suspense, majority of horror suspense is incredibly important. But though I feel like in doing things like this, I don't think actually trying to build up genuine creepy suspense is actually the way to go. I think how Rambo did it was amazing, of actually destroying the suspense. The laughter destroys suspense. And I think that was very good because when those moments hit you, you weren't anticipating it, and it's so much more effective. I feel like, at least for me, it affected me a lot more. Because I know after episode 2, it definitely felt more disturbed than I actually thought I would be when I was watching the episode afterwards, because I watched them all like late at night in my room, lights off. And I after watching it, I felt more creeped out than I actually thought I would be during that moment. Um, so yeah, I that was just so well done. I love just like you can just tell, especially when Rambo was talking about the stream afterwards, or just how much effort they all put in, everyone put into it. There's so much care and love and effort, and I love seeing that stuff because there's so much in the media. I mean, I don't think I need to say this because I'm sure everyone knows this, but there's just so much in the media that like you can just tell people just aren't passionate about the movies or the video games they make, especially with so many games and stuff coming out in poor quality and stuff. Like it's so incredible to always see. Especially like one other example that was amazing was Everything Everywhere at Once. You could tell everyone loved it what they were doing, the passion and the genuineness behind it. You could tell Rambo was so passionate. Everyone that worked with him was so passionate about this. And I think they just did such an amazing job, and you can feel that passion come through and just how important that is. And there's just so many small details too, especially the stream that they were pointing out. Which I'll definitely watch the Founders Edition at some point. I cannot watch the VODs again anytime soon because I will break. But I'll definitely watch the Founders Edition stuff, which yeah, I'll probably make maybe a more coherent version of this video. Because I don't even know what's going to be in the background of this video. I'm thinking probably just Bloons GD6 to offset the pressingness of the show because it's a tragedy. I don't even know if I'll put background music in this or anything. So sorry about that. I know this is literally supposed to be a rant. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I feel like crap. But I just had to talk about this. I know if I didn't talk about this, I'm gonna go insane. I'm just trying to think if there's like anything else that I really need to just get off my chest about this show. I think I got like the main points. It was just so much more than like what I was expecting it to be, and it just was so well written. Like yeah, Rambo, like I said, they wrote it so well. It's incredibly impressive. Yeah, I've just not had something hit me like and like also actually I guess the other thing I want to talk about is the type of horror that this is. And I'll be discussing this with Soma, like I said earlier, because Soma's gonna is kind of similar, definitely kind of slightly different vibes, but still the idea of both the idea of an existence worth living, if it's suffering, if it's just suffering, and the moral choice that you have to make over someone's life for that, and also like the type of horror, like this, both of them more play into like the deep existential type of horror, the horror of like morality, the horror of the person's like absolutely hopeless situation. Like, cause at the end, like I can understand some people will maybe having some hope, like, oh, what if Rainbow escapes? What if this? What if that? But like really, and you can tell, especially when Rainbow's talking this in their stream, that like, and I knew this when I'm watching because it's pretty clear that like there is no escape for that character. There is no escape for them. They will either die or they will continue to kill more people and suffer more. Because even throughout the whole third episode, it looks like, oh, they're free, they're not under control anymore. But they were the whole time, and it was all just part of the show. So that's so clear that like the brainwashing or whatever it is so deep that it won't go away. It won't end, and that it's going to end badly either way. And that like absolute sense of hopelessness, which again, the only other game that has done that for me is Soma, which I'll definitely be discussing a bunch as well. That absolute sense of hopelessness puts such a deeper sense of dread and horror within you than a scary monster or a gory scene. That doesn't affect you for the long term. But things like this, though, like just that, like yeah, the absolute sense of hopelessness, that there is no hope, there is absolutely no way out of it, is so much more effective, I feel like, than a brutal, gory death scene or, whatever. And speaking of the death as well, like everyone else, death throughout the show was interesting and stuff, but like obviously it was all like had to happen because it was only supposed to be Rambo, the hero left. Um, but the way that the death is so sudden that like I think that's so much. I feel like sudden instant deaths, especially if it's supposed to be a tragedy. Another game that did this very well was Red Dead Redemption 2, which works very well because it had like obviously a big, obviously kind of minor spoilers, but it's probably not that surprising though. There's the gang and a lot of characters, so obviously there's a lot of people that they can kill off and stuff. But the way they do the deaths is so effective. I remember one. This is kind of spoilers, but it's like right at the beginning. It's pretty near the beginning of the game, but is with Sean. Yeah, Sean, I believe is the name, the Irish guy in the gang. Like when they're walking through the town, and then just like he's just in the middle of talking, and then bang, out of nowhere, he gets shot in the head, half his head blown off, and he's just dead. No build up, no suspense, no knowing, just dead. And I feel like moments like that, and Red Dead Redemption has a bunch of those. I feel like those kind of deaths. I mean, they're not always the greatest choice. There's sometimes better choices, but I feel like they're so much more impactful than someone having some slow, dramatic death or a gory death or whatever, or like where they give the last monologue before they die. I feel like just quick, instant, silent deaths, like the one at the end. Like it just zooms in on Rambo, and then just boom, the box shuts, and it's just silence. The music cuts, no noise, nothing. Just silence as the blood trickles down from his neck. And they just start like twitching just a little bit and stuff before they completely go still. As this imagery of them just being like hung up there by the box as it zooms up to all the cameras is just so well done. It is so well executed. There's no fanfare to the death. There's no glorious, there's no happiness, there's no relief, there's no nothing. It's just death. It's just silence. And I feel like that's so much more effective than if it was some really gory death. Oh, it's still kind of gory. There's a decent amount of blood, and they got their heads smashed. But I feel like that's just so much more effective, especially in like a horror, especially in tragedies. I feel like that, at least for me personally, always hits harder when it's just boom, because it's realistic. Death isn't in any way necessarily particularly sad, where sad music and rain starts. It's not particularly glorious. It's usually just instant boom, person gone. And I think that just creates so much more connection to it. Yeah, that final scene, it's just so great with the final scene, because like everything leads up to it so well too. That's what creates such a good ending, is like obviously you need a good ending, and the ending can be, usually for most movies, is sometimes the most memorable part, where they can just throw something at you. And I feel like that was so well done, because it's just everything in the show all accumulating to this one point of suspense of watching a bunch of people vote on whether or not to kill someone, and he's giving really good performance to make it seem pretty genuine. And like even just watching that, like I feel like I actually watched someone get executed by hundreds of thousands of people voting on it. And I was voting in my head. I mean, I knew what I wanted immediately, because that's just I believe that that is the right choice. Uh, to It would be better for them to die than to continue to suffer, continue to do more horrible things to other people and suffer more themselves. It would be better if it just ended and that they could be put to rest. But like, do I think that's right? Do I think that's wrong? And again, someone also brings up a bunch of stuff. It's such a moral gray area that there is no. I don't feel like I'm right. It's the right decision for me, but like, am I like, yeah, this is the right decision? No. Do I feel good or happy about it? No. And I think that's all that was makes such an amazing piece of media, is when it can make someone think. That's what I'm always looking for in like games or movies. Like I want it to make me think. I want to think, I want to feel like something more than just like the feeling of like, oh, that made me sad, or oh, that was like really funny. Like I mean, those are obviously great too. Don't get me wrong. But like when you can find that special gem of something that could like not just punch you in the gut, but like punch through your gut, grab your soul and crush it into little tiny pieces, like that's what I'm talking about. Something that like hits deeper, and this did that for me. Obviously maybe it wasn't for everyone. It sounds like from most people's reactions it was. And like I said, like I watched Rambo a little bit, but not a ton. Not like I don't like him. That's just not always. I'm not really a big like watching live streams person. I'm more just watching like regular shorter videos, which ironically none of my videos have been really short. This one isn't either, because I've been ranting for 30 minutes about this. Um, so I'm sure a lot of people who like adore Rambo and stuff and adore them probably felt a lot more strongly about seeing one of their idols get executed on live stream. With that a little bit more, like I had some connection, but you don't need any connection to that though. It's so well done that you don't need to watch all those streamers. You don't need to know all of them because it is just genuinely a good, well acted, well written, amazing show. And which just shows how well, even more how well done it is. Um, yeah, everything just piles up to the end moment, and it is just so well executed. Just everything, like, and I feel like again, a story like this, or I feel like certain stories that can hit so much deeper, but is so not always commonly used, is like horror. I feel like or at least in my opinion, I believe that horror has the potential to always hit the deepest within a person. That's what horror is. It's about bringing out the deepest fears, the deepest terror and dread and existentialism and whatever within a person to surface that. Usually, like for like entertainment stuff, you get the thrill of getting scared or whatever. But I believe it can go beyond that to like this show, to like Soma, where it can impact you and it'll stay in your mind for such a long time and you can't get it out because it is just deeper than just a scary horror. It's a horror on such a more like personal and like more, I don't know. I know I'm just gonna keep repeating myself a bunch because I just don't know the correct words, but just so much more like internal than any surface level horror. Um, yeah, because it's like the scenes of people getting cut open, or the TV monster and stuff like that. Like none of that's really scary, and the screaming stuff and crying stuff are scary, but it's more the dread of the decisions, dread of the situation, dread of the absolute hopelessness that you begin to feel for these characters. And yeah, I just think I think horror just has such a, because I've played plenty games that have made me cry a bunch and stuff like that, such as Before Your Eyes or Spiritfarer. Um, but those I feel like still have never impacted me. They impacted me like a decent amount. Don't get me wrong; they're amazing, incredible. But I feel like Soma, like an example, like with Soma, like 'cause Soma I played a long time, like, quite a while ago. Obviously, this is like new. This is the day after I watched the third episode. So I just wanted to like get my thoughts out there while they're like fresh in my head. Um, well, they're like, yeah, just nice and fresh. But I feel like, especially after watching Founders Edition and stuff, I feel like this is going to be something that's going to stick in my head and isn't going to leave, just like Soma. And I feel like there's decisions and the moral things and how well executed it was, I feel like aren't going to leave. My thoughts and will keep randomly appearing. Like Soma, it's always, I usually go a long time without thinking about it, but then it'll always just appear in the back of my head. Either I'll see a video of someone talking about it, or I'll hear the music from it, or I'll see it in my library and I'll think about it, or randomly I'm going through the day or thinking about things or whatever. And I feel like this might end up being the same way. Because it's just, I just don't know if it's gonna be able to leave me. Which is amazing. I'm not saying like the fact that I had so much anxiety all night and couldn't sleep and all this, it's amazing. That's what like I love about people pursuing their passions and what art can do to you and how it can impact you. Obviously, art's subjective and maybe it doesn't have the same impact on everyone, and maybe someone watching this doesn't feel the same way I did, and that's completely fine. Everyone has their own opinions, but this is just my rant. Um, yeah, that was all over the place. Sorry, this is like very weird video. I'm not even like playing games. I'm just literally sitting here on my computer staring at the screen talking. Which is very different than what I normally do. But I just had to. I just had to. Even if no one actually watches all the way through this, I just need to scream my freaking ideas out there. Until some of my friends watch it, and then I will absolutely rip their ears off with how much I'll talk about it. But so thank you to anyone who did listen to this. Let me know what you think about anything. I'd love to hear if anyone else has anything that they would found incredible about this or anything to add or whatever. This isn't really about like theorizing, because I know there's probably plenty of people that are theorizing about what does this mean, what does that mean. I know Ramble said that like a lot of things will be explained and will be cleared up in the Founders Cut stuff, so I'm not, I wasn't really been a huge, it depends on what it is, but I've never really been a huge theorizing type person. So, but the thoughts on just how well done it was, I would love to hear about. Um, and yeah, like I said, I'll probably do Soma tomorrow. Maybe later today. I just highly doubt it. I just don't have the energy for it. This has like consumed me. It's just I've just been so obsessed with it. I just can't stop thinking about it. So I just had to do this. For at least my own mental health, if nothing else. But yeah, like I said, when the hope possibly when the Founders Edition comes out, or the Founders Cut, whatever it is, and all the behind the scenes stuff and all stuff like that, I may, depending on like how much more, if I can come up with more thoughts or come up with more organized way, maybe I'll make a little bit more nicer, neater version of this video, more of a video essay format. That would hopefully be maybe a little bit more interesting to watch than just a random guy ranting about a cool show. But yeah, we'll see. But I think it'll be like a few weeks till the Founders Cut, so it'll be a while till I possibly do that if I think I want to do that. But I do think I probably want to give this a little bit more respect than just this rant. So, but yeah, I think that's all the things I had. And also, I guess I had amazing set pieces, amazing props, amazing camera angles. All that was well done. Acting was great. So yeah, everything was so good. I don't know if there's anything I didn't like about it. It was so good. So yeah, I think that's all I have for this weird rant, whatever this is. I just had to do this. So, and hopefully maybe I've gotten at least a couple more people to go watch it and support it. Because definitely Rainbow definitely deserves it. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, especially thank you guys if you guys want to go support it. And I will see y'all later.